On the 17th of August in 1424, a decisive battle unfolded during the Hundred Years' War between England and France, known as the Battle of Verneuil. John, Duke of Bedford, led the English forces into an intriguing landscape, marked by rolling hills and thick woods, having strategic advantage over the approaching French army. The French army, under the command of Jean II, Duke of Alençon, gathered in numbers, determined to reclaim lost territory and restore their honor on the battlefield. John Stuart, a young commander, stood resolute among his Scottish allies, his confidence evident as he encouraged his troops, ready to face the English. Archibald Douglas, Earl of Douglas, reinforced the Scottish battalions with enthusiasm, recognizing the significance of this battle in the war against England. As the morning fog lifted, the tension palpable, both armies prepared for the clash that would unveil destiny on this historic day. The English forces, more disciplined and battle-hardened, steeled themselves, ready to charge at their larger adversaries. Jean II strategized with his generals, plotting the best approach to turn their numerical advantage into a decisive victory. Amidst the chaos, Archibald Douglas provided leadership to the Scottish units, reminding them of their unity and strength against the English. As the battle commenced, arrows filled the sky like a rainstorm, pitching both sides into active combat. The fierce engagement ensued as the French forces charged, led by Jean II, against the well-prepared English front. Bedford's forces met the French head-on, executing tactics refined from past battles that aimed to neutralize their numerical disadvantage. Both commanders shouted orders, directing their men through the chaos of battle, striving for victory at any cost. As the battle raged on, heavily armored knights clashed, creating a cacophony of sounds that marked the brutality of warfare. Despite their valor, the French struggled to make a significant breakthrough against the disciplined English troops, showcasing their training. Stuart fought gallantly alongside his warriors, embodying the spirited determination characteristic of the Scots, even in dire circumstances. As the day wore on, the environment grew increasingly chaotic, with arrows descending like rain and cries echoing across the battlefield. Gradually, the English began to push back the French forces, utilizing their formations, creating a turning point in the battle. Amidst the fray, notable victories and defeats marked the battle, with both sides seeing their fair share of losses. Seeing the tide turning, Jean II rallied his remaining troops in a desperate attempt to gain the upper hand once more. The clash intensified as Bedford's forces delivered relentless attacks, capitalizing on the French disarray. As exhaustion began to wear on the soldiers, the sounds of battle began to change, signaling an eventual conclusion was near. In a conclusive charge, Bedford's forces stepped up their aggression, forcing the French soldiers to retreat amid chaos. Ultimately, as the day drew to a close, the English secured a pivotal victory at Verneuil, marking a significant moment in the Hundred Years' War. The result of the battle not only showcased English resilience, but also signaled the further decline of French morale during the conflict. With the victory at Verneuil, John, Duke of Bedford, cemented his status as a formidable leader during this tumultuous period. The sun broke over the horizon, casting its first rays on the battlefield as both sides prepared for the impending conflict. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of damp earth. Both armies stood in formation, with the Duke of Bedford on one side, surveying his troops confidently, while Duke Jean II rallied his forces with passionate speeches, igniting fervor among the French soldiers. The first volleys of arrows were loosed from English longbows, arcing through the air. The battlefield erupted in chaos as the missiles rained down on the advancing French forces, creating a cloud of fear and confusion. As the English archers continued their relentless assault, the the disciplined formations of the English infantry began to advance, steadily pushing forward against the panicked French lines. The French forces retaliated fiercely, inspired by their leader's courage. Jean II, Duke of Alençon, personally led a charge aimed at breaking the English lines, believing victory was still within reach. John Stuart and Archibald Douglas, from the Scottish contingent, encouraged their soldiers, showcasing their own valor on the field. They fought fiercely, attempting to rally the other Scottish troops to push back against the pressing English. As the battle intensified, both sides suffered casualties, but the English discipline began to tip the scales, allowing them to push deeper into the French formation with relentless determination. The French army, despite their efforts, started to show signs of faltering under the relentless English advance. Duke John II shouted orders, striving to inspire renewed determination amidst his weary men. With the English front lines gaining momentum, archers continued to unleash volleys of arrows, effectively thinning the ranks of the French army, where morale began to plummet. Feeling the tide of battle turning, John, Duke of Bedford, ordered his cavalry to flank the remaining French forces, effectively surrounding them and cutting off any retreat. Seeing the imminent collapse of the French army, the noble leaders from all sides scrambled to devise last-ditch strategies, but their voices were drowned out by the tumult of battle. As the day drew on and the sun began to set, the retreat of the French forces became evident, with panic spreading like wildfire through their ranks as they attempted to escape the encroaching English. Finally, when the dust began to settle, the English forces emerged victorious, their banners waving high amidst the silent echoes of the defeated French army, whose morale had suffered a severe blow. John, Duke of Bedford, rode through the ranks of his celebrating soldiers, a calm presence amidst the euphoria, knowing the victory would not only bolster English claims, but also shift the balance of the war. Yet a victory at Verneuil did not come without cost. Both sides saw significant loss, and the strategic victory was bittersweet for many noble leaders who lost beloved comrades in battle. In the aftermath, John Stuart and Archibald Douglas conferred with their respective commanders, recognizing the price paid in honor and questioning the path forward amidst the English triumph. A day concluded with the English army restructuring their lines for defense, planning for the possibility of a French counterattack, while efforts began to tend to the wounded. Meanwhile, the French leaders gathered to discuss the implications of their defeat, recognizing the need for new tactics and greater unity among their ranks to restore their former strength. Reflecting on their heavy losses, Jean II and his fellow leaders vowed to honor their fallen comrades by strengthening their resolve and focusing on regaining their territorial claims. As night fell on the battlefield, stories of heroism began to spread among the soldiers, each recounting personal tales of bravery that would solidify into legendary tales of the Battle of Verneuil. The impact of the battle echoed throughout England, where news of the victory stirred a sense of pride and unity, even as the broader conflict continued to rage on the continent. Conversely, in France, the defeat prompted a wave of despair, with citizens expressing anger and frustration at their leaders, urging them to regroup and reclaim honor lost on the battlefield. The Battle of Verneuil marked a critical juncture in the Hundred Years' War, establishing the tactical superiority of the English forces and tightening Bedford's grasp on the ongoing conflict. The year was 1424, a turbulent time during the Hundred Years' War, where English and French forces clashed continually for dominance over France. The Battle of Verneuil would be one of the pivotal confrontations of this lengthy conflict. As morning broke on August 17th, under the watchful eye of the rising sun, John, Duke of Bedford, reviewed his battle plans. His experience gave him confidence that he could lead the English army to a decisive victory against the larger French force. Meanwhile, across the battlefield, Jean II, Duke of Alençon, gathered his commanders, John Stuart and Archibald Douglas. They strategized their attack, aiming to capitalize on their numerical advantage. As the two armies prepared for reach, the excitement in the air intensified. Drummers beat war rhythms, and battle horns echoed across the field, stirring the spirits of both sides as they readied for confrontation. When the battle commenced, the air was filled with the sound of arrows whistling ominously through the sky as English archers unleashed their first volley, targeting the leading French ranks. Despite the initial chaos, Duke Jean II rallied his troops, inspiring them with fervent cries to charge forward, trying to break the English line amidst the flying arrows. As the clash intensified, John Stuart and Archibald Douglas led their Scottish allies in a flanking maneuver, attempting to disrupt the English formation from the sides. The English forces under Bedford's leadership held their ground despite fierce attacks. Their military discipline paid off, as they pushed back the French front slowly but surely during the brutal confrontations. As the fighting wore on, Bedford issued a command for a cavalry maneuver, executing a strategic flank that surrounded an unsuspecting portion of French forces, creating utter confusion. The English momentum built as they seized control of the battlefield, combined strategies showcasing their training as an elite fighting force, while the French soldiers began to waver in morale. As the day dragged on, the French lines began to break, with groups of soldiers retreating amidst disarray. Duke Alençon's forces faltered under the relentless pressure of the English onslaught. The final push from the English army forced a strategic retreat from the French, leading to a clear English victory at Verneuil. The triumph sent shockwaves through France. After the battle ended, the pain of loss weighed heavily on both sides, but the English forces celebrated their hard-won victory, believing it would significantly alter the outcome of the war. Back at their camp, Duke Alençon and his commanders met to reassess their strategies, their faces marked with determination to regroup and refine their approach to the conflict ahead. In England, the news of victory at Verneuil lifted spirits across the kingdom, bolstering support for John of Bedford amid increasing pressures in the ongoing conflict. The aftermath of the Battle of Verneuil marked a significant turning point in the Hundred Years' War, as English tactics and military organization began to overshadow their French counterparts. With this victory, John, Duke of Bedford, emerged as a central figure in the English cause, gaining prestige and influence that would last through the difficult years ahead. Meanwhile, the French leadership recognized the need for adaptation or risk further losses, as they vowed to restore their honor and reclaim lost territories in the wake of the defeat. The battle and its outcome served as a reminder of the evolving nature of warfare, where tactics, discipline, and morale became cornerstone elements in determining victory and defeat. As the dust settled from Verneuil, both English and French forces began to fortify their positions, aware that every battle fought was crucial in this protracted struggle for dominance. Ultimately, the Battle of Verneuil signified not just a clash of arms, but a critical moment in history that would resonate for decades to come, influencing the future course of the Hundred Years' War. Verneuil's legacy persisted as it etched itself into the history books, a testament to the valiant efforts of those who fought and the strategies employed during each harrowing encounter.